Aussie grandmother gets the death penalty. Russians shot down MH17. Archbishop to stand down after child sex conviction. It's the 26th of May 2018, and this is what's going on. Okay, Sydney woman Maria Pinto Posto faces the death penalty after being alleged caught with 1.5 kilograms of ice at Kuala Lumpur's international airport. The Australian grandmother says that she was set up and she's an innocent victim of a drug mule as she faces the death penalty, and she's being alleged to be caught with the methamphetamine in Malaysia. Miss Esposto, 51, from Liverpool in southwestern Sydney, could be hung for allegedly moving the methamphetamines. She was travelling on Malaysian Airlines Flight 387 en route to Shanghai to Kuala Lumpur, where it stopped over and was scheduled to continue through to Melbourne. Her legal team said that she had possessed documents in her bag that she had collected from Shanghai. It's claimed that these documents were for her fiancé, an American soldier serving in Afghanistan, and it was in relation to his impending retirement. The inspection by Malaysian customs staff on the backpack was actually found that men's clothing, which her lawyers said did not belong to her, and the drugs were concealed in a specially stitched compartment. The Australian High Commission has engaged high-profile Malaysian lawyer Muhammad Saif Abdullah and Sydney-born Tanya Shkreti. There's a very strong chance that she'll be one of those naive and innocent mules that have been used to traffic drugs. The legal team has previously saved lives of 2 Australians charged with drug offences over there. Malaysia has a hardline approach when it comes to drugs, implementing the death penalty for such offences in 1983. Anyone caught carrying more than 50 grams of a drug is considered a trafficker and will be sent to be hung. 2 Australians were executed in 1986 after they were caught with 141.9 grams of heroin. Mrs. Pinto Posto was remanded in custody and is likely to be charged in her next court appearance scheduled in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, it's her bag, yes. She had secret compartments stitched into it, yes. And it had a quantity of drugs in it which would get you hung, yes. Well, I hope that the Australian authorities can help her out, because I don't believe you should be hung for drugs. But they're their rules. It's the way that their legal system runs, and you have to abide by that. Okay, MH17. A Russian missile shot down Malaysian Airlines jet MH17, killing 38 Australians among the 298 people aboard the flight, and it belonged to the 53rd Anti-Aircraft Brigade from Kursk, an international investigations team has concluded. In a landmark conference on Thursday in the Netherlands, international representatives, including the Australian Federal Police, announced that they had found convincing evidence that flight MH17 was shot down by a bulk Telstra missile from Russia. The code was on the missile, whose parts were found in the field in eastern Ukraine near where MH17 was shot down, and it shows that it was made in Moscow in 1986. The investigation team said that after an extensive comparative investigation with dozens of images, they could conclude that the fingerprint of the missile was from the Russian brigade. The official conclusion announced by the head of the National Criminal Investigation Services of the National Police of the Netherlands backs and confirms the theory of that the Russian military missile was involved. The mid-air explosion killed 298 people aboard and set off a diplomatic firestorm of where 193 were Dutch and 38 were Australian citizens. On Thursday, Sydney lawyer Michael Hyland, who is acting for 8 Australian families who lost their loved ones on MH17, said the evidence that the flight was shot down by the missile was compelling. In my work with families of passengers lost in MH17, they continue to profoundly be impacted by the loss of family members and the circumstances of that loss. Even though 4 years have passed since MH17's events, our clients, without exception, still wish to see the justice served. The investigation team announced that they'd found 7 visual fingerprints of the missile from the 53rd Brigade, which matched photos and videos taken both within Russia and inside Ukraine around the time MH17 was shot down. They included a transport number, which had been partially painted over, which is typically done when a military vehicle is deployed into action. Chief Prosecutor of the National Prosecutor's Office in the Netherlands said that he could still not answer the questions why and who was responsible for the atrocity, but the investigation was steadily progressing. The right forum to reveal the test and conclusions about individuals to blame was in a court and not in a press conference. Australian Foreign Minister Julia Bishop said the fact that a sophisticated weapon belonging to a Russian army was dispatched and used to shoot down civilian aircraft should be part of a grave international concern. Sad. Russia has a lot they've got to come to the table here. Okay, Archbishop Philip Wilson found guilty of covering up child sex abuse. The Catholic Church Archbishop of Adelaide, Philip Wilson, has been found guilty in a Newcastle local court on charges of failing to report his knowledge about a Catholic priest who had sexually abused a boy in the Hunter Valley in the 70s. A sentence hearing will be held on June 19th. Wilson is among a handful of Catholic clerics in the world to be charged with this specific crime, which includes French Cardinal Philippe Barin. The findings on the Wilson's case come at an important time, with Cardinal George Pell to stand trial on multiple historical sex assault charges later this year. The Royal Commission into the Institutional Response to Child Sex Abuse also recently recommended that failure to report child sex abuse to become law in all Australian states. There have been 3 attempts to prosecute officials of the Catholic Church for concealing the sexual assault of children in the Hunter Valley region, including this case against Wilson. The first trial was abandoned when the accused died. The second, the magistrate found the boy in question had been sexually abused, but evidence relating to the priest's alleged knowledge of the abuse was inconsistent. The implications arising from Wilson's conviction are wide-reaching and significant, both for the Catholic Church and for other institutions. First, a successful prosecution means that pending matters arising from the work of the Royal Commission might now have more success before in the courts in New South Wales and Victoria. The reason for this is both states include laws that criminalise the concealment of a serious offence. So if you know about it, and you do nothing about it, it's illegal. So this is what the section 316 of the New South Wales Crime Act states. Requires that for a successful prosecution, the following elements must all be met. A serious offence has been committed, one punishable by imprisonment for 5 years or more. Another person knows or believes the offence has been committed. That person knows the information may be of material interest to the police, and they fail to pass on such knowledge without reasonable excuse. In the judgment, Magistrate Robert Stone made it clear Wilson had the prerequisite knowledge of the offences, and the main witness, Peter Craig, was reliable and truthful in his evidence. Second, while the Catholic Church is focused on the moral obligations to respond to victims and relied on canon law for legal guidance, it will now be forced to recognise its accountability in failing to protect children from sexual abuse by not reporting criminal activities to police. This will have a worldwide impact on the already weakened legitimacy of the Church's moral authority. We could expect increasing focus on the activity of high-ranking clerics in falling to reports that they knew about civil authorities. Third, the decision today may have a flow-on effect, influencing other jurisdictions throughout the world to re-evaluate criminal law provisions as they relate to concealment of childhood sexual abuse. In Australia, only New South Wales and Victoria have laws dealing with failing to report criminal activity. There will be no more hiding the sexual abuse, and I just hope the other states get on board with this as well. All right, the Fast Five. Number one, we have Telstra loses service again. Telstra has apologised after it suffered another widespread network outage, with customers reporting complete disruption of mobile service across the country. On Monday morning, Telstra users said that their network was down in Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney, Hobart, Brisbane and Perth. So let me guess, they're going to give you another free data day. Get it together, Telstra. Number two, 30-year-old gets taken to court by his parents. A US judge has ordered a 30-year-old to move out of his parents' house in upstate New York after they went to court to evict him. Christina and Mark Rotato said that their son Michael did not pay rent or help around the house, and he had rejected offers for them to help him move out. They wrote 5 eviction letters over several months informing Mr. Rotato must vacate their home, but he argued in return that they had not given him sufficient notice. I feel for the parents, and I hope my kids still aren't living here at 30 as well. So number 3, NFL players can't kneel anymore. The NFL owners aren't going to stand for their players kneeling next season. The league announced today that all players and league personnel on the sidelines must stand for the national anthem or face fines on their teams. However, they have an option to remain in the locker room if they don't want to stand for the anthem. Number 4, body washes up at Cronulla Beach. Body has been found north Cronulla Beach. Sydney police are treating the death as suspicious. Sydney police say that they are keeping an open mind in their investigations into the death of a woman found at North Cronulla on Wednesday morning. The woman's body was wet and she was fully clothed. Police said that she had also suffered an injury. Police are yet to work out the cause of the death of the woman, who they say was in between the ages of 16 and 30 years old, but they were treating it as suspicious. And number 5, Trump can't block Twitter users. President Donald Trump cannot block users on his Twitter feed anymore after a federal judge in New York City ruled on Wednesday. The suit was filed in July 2017 by the Knight First Amendment Institution at Columbia University, as well as 7 other plaintiffs who had been blocked on Twitter by Trump. Where are you going to get your funny news from then? And that's the Fast 5. Thank you. Well, that's our news review for the week, the 26th of May 2018. If you've enjoyed this, please leave a like. If you want a version of upcoming news reviews or anything on things they don't teach you in school, please subscribe and enjoy your week. Till next time.